All right, we got In Control again. We're talking about some more useless GTA 5 information, bro. It's been a while, man. I kind of forgot about the series, I'm not gonna lie. 35 minutes, I'm hyped. Let's get into it.
Hey, in this video, I'm going to snatch more of your precious time and show you 35 minutes of useless information about GTA 5, which at this point you're going to forget about before you even have time to click off this video.
Absolutely.
Let's go. At this location, you can find some segmented crane parts laying on the ground. Strangely, the ladders inside of these cranes are still somewhat functional. If you were to drop onto them from this angle, your character would attempt to climb it, which quite clearly isn't supposed to happen.
Oh wow.
Lines get zipped across to the other side of the crane, sometimes in the process.
Never tried that.
Which is a slight error.
Let me turn this up a little bit, man. I feel like it's kind of low. I feel like this is kind of low.
Pay attention to this sign above the door. It should become apparent that the text is reversed, and it reads, St. Bridget Baptist Church, which isn't what this church is called. The only church that has this name is this one in Pleto Bay. What I think likely happened here is that the developers copied the St. Bridget Church from Pleto Bay, made a few minor colour adjustments, flipped it, and pasted it here, forgetting about the text above the door.
That's fair.
There's a small detail about the gang attacks of GTA Online that I've never seen anyone mention before. If you complete 5 gang attacks involving the same type of gang, back to back, you'll get a threatening message from the gang, followed by a high bounty being placed on your head. The text you receive is unique for each type of gang. Here's the Lost MC.
I don't think I've ever done any of the gang attacks for the same gang back to back.
The Vargos, the Professionals, the Families, the Armenian Mob, and the Triads. The most common message to get will be this one from the Families, as there's currently only one existing gang attack left involving them, and with gang attacks having a cooldown of 36 minutes, you will need to spend a bare minimum of 3 hours in a single session to complete it 5 times.
Crazy.
When you enter the Kosatka submarine for the first time, you'll get an introduction cutscene. During this cutscene, you'll get shown the planning screen, which shows the island, Mr. Rubio, and quite strangely some coordinates. If we go ahead and type this into Google Maps, it will take us to the middle of Edinburgh, which is the same city that Rockstar North is located.
Oh wow.
Their office is a few blocks away from this location.
That's hard.
That the Stromberg was originally going to have vertical firing missiles. Evidence for this comes from the Doomsday mission Salvage. The Stromberg model in this mission differs slightly from the actual vehicle, as it has 4 vertical cylinders in the back, which look a lot like missiles. Interestingly, the actual car that the Stromberg is based off of, the Wetznelly from James Bond, also has vertical firing missiles in the back. It's kind of odd why they would choose to remove this feature.
Real. Could have been copyright.
It was originally going to heat up.
Who knows? Because Rockstar can only get away with so much. Let's be for real, bro. They can only get away with so much.
Actually causing it to overheat. The only piece of evidence for this is this image found in the game files. Why they scrapped it is really anyone's guess. There are 10 unused kits for the EMP launcher. It's possible that these might become available sometime in the future.
Maybe.
Contracts DLC was potentially going to include a feature that would allow players to mix music. There's also evidence of a rhythm minigame, in which you need to press certain buttons at the right time.
That would have been so hard.
Unfortunately, not much is really known about this. All we have is traces of this once existing. Considering that this update was all focused around music, and that there's this whole intricately detailed recording studio that's only been used a couple of times, a feature like this would have been perfect.
That would have been sick.
Speaking of music, there was originally going to be a music player app on the player's phone that would allow the player to listen to the many radio stations of GTA.
Oh, there should have been.
This feature was cut fairly early in development, as only a few traces of it remain.
Yikes, man.
You'll get killed by someone in free mode. You'll get a scorecard telling you how many kills and deaths you have. This scorecard was originally going to be a lot more detailed. It would show the player's level, the weapon used, whether bullets connected, and how much damage each shot did.
Oh, that would have been sick.
Might have been a bit overkill, but it would have been nice to have all this info.
Yeah, that info would have been nice.
Early progress reports deep within the game files, which date back to 2011, 2 years before the game came out. These graphs show the QA and FPS reports of the early versions of the game. The more interesting graph, personally, is this one here. It shows the frame rate performances in different parts of the map. It seems like the best performing area was the docks and terminal, which had an absolute high point of 22 frames. This is what it would have looked like. The worst performing area was Legion Square. It had an absolute low of 14 frames, which looks like this. It's painful to look at.
That's crazy, bro.
It to be 19 frames per second. In the Brady Games official guide to GTA 5, on page 204 you can see an image of the map that has a blue waypoint on it, rather than a purple waypoint we have today, meaning that at some point during late development the colour of it changed.
That's crazy.
There were some rumours a while back about a supposed mountain climbing activity you could participate in. As far as I know, there is basically no evidence for this whatsoever, other than this small, unused mountain icon in the game files. I'm inclined to believe that this rumour is false, as this just isn't enough evidence.
Yeah, not really. And it sucks that that's definitely not going to happen in GTA 6 because there's no mountains in Florida.
Literally, no one in their right mind wants the answer to. Just how many trees are there in GTA 5? Why am I answering a ridiculous question like this anyway? Content. To tackle this monster of a question, My first idea was to count them all the old-fashioned way, one by one. No surprise, I gave up on this very quickly. There are just so many damn trees in this game. I needed a faster way to count them all. This is where CodeWalker comes in. There's a feature on this software that allows us to search for certain props throughout the whole map, and it also counts the exact number of props there are.
Oh, that's sick.
Before I used this to get my answer though, I first needed a list of every single tree model in the game, which I had to find myself. I went through hundreds of models of foliage. I even had to look up the definition of a tree to make sure it was as accurate as possible. Just as a side note, I'm not counting potted plants as trees, just for simplicity's sake. Although this model here is a pine tree, it's in a pot, so I'm not counting it.
Fair.
After an hour of looking, I had every possible tree model in the game. Now I had to copy and paste every one of these models into this software, and have it do the counting for me. Here's the results. There are 5,850 palm trees, 156 oak trees, 27 cicada trees, 832 ficus trees, 3,251 large bush trees, 1,037 pine trees, 167 cypress trees, 288 maple trees, 611 veg crop trees, 254 eucalypt trees, 4,016 birch trees, 11,807 cedar trees, 576 Joshua trees, 48 Rio trees, 2,076 olive trees, and 1,310 mesquite trees.
I feel like I've crashed into all of them. Can't even lie, bro. I feel like I've crashed into all of them.
1,062 trees within the state of San Andreas. Considering that the average tree produces 150 pounds of oxygen every year, we can estimate that with trees alone, the state of San Andreas produces 4,959,300 pounds of oxygen each year. This amount of oxygen could sustain 130,000 people a year, which is, pretty useless.
It is.
What you was expecting really, but honestly, I'm just now starting to realise that a lot of my content is just throwing numbers at you. So let's move on to something else.
Fair.
In the entrance to Stab City, there's this completely wrecked trailer. If we pay attention to the back of it, we can see there has a California license plate. It should really have a San Andreas license plate, as in-game, the state of California doesn't exist.
That's crazy.
Otherwise, this doesn't make sense. This is likely just a small oversight from the developers.
Yeah, it's probably something that was made in early development and just forgotten about.
The beta image of Agent 14 in the game files. As you can see, it seems like he was originally going to be blonde.
Real.
Michael, Trevor and Franklin were originally going to be able to participate in police work. I'm assuming that these missions would have been somewhat similar to taxi work, with the missions only being available when a player gets into a police car and accepts a call on a radio. You would probably have to stop store robberies, chase down speeding cars, and generally keep the streets of Los Santos safe. The evidence comes from this fully rendered police outfit for Michael, as well as these unused voice lines.
Stay out of trouble now. Who's profiling who here? Now it's my turn to stop and frisk.
No loitering. Show some respect for the law. You look like you're up to no good.
That's crazy.
Officer coming through. Don't make me get the nightstick out. You have the right to absolutely nothing.
It's crazy how many lines made it into the game, and it feels like there's almost an equal amount, if not more, unused content, bro.
Last video, I
That's crazy.
How many buildings there are in the game. 2,359. I now want to take this number and figure out the rough population of San Andreas. To do this, we'll need a ratio of people to buildings. We'll get this from the state of California, the place San Andreas is based off of. California has roughly 17 million buildings and 39 million people. This gives us a ratio of 2.2941. If we times this by the 2,359 buildings there are in GTA, we get an estimate of 5,414 people who live in this state. With a population this small, Los Santos itself wouldn't even be considered a city. It would just barely qualify as a small town. A few hundred less people and it would literally qualify as a village. It's teeny.
That's crazy.
No, pressing right on the D-pad or E for PC will allow you to greet nearby NPCs.
Hey, you cool, pal?
No way.
Whatever.
Usually, the lines of dialogue you hear will be fairly linear, and will only ever change depending on who you're talking to. However, there's an unused feature that's still in the game that changes what Michael, Trevor and Franklin say depending on what they're currently wearing. Wearing a strange outfit that's either mismatched or just in plain underwear will cause them to have more self-conscious dialogue, with the exception being Trevor. Have a listen.
This is Los Santos. Shit, I can dress how I want. Yeah, I know. I need to do laundry, right? Okay, it's a new look, alright?
What do you think? I'm rocking.
That's crazy.
You like what you see? Don't look at me like I'm some kind of freak.
It's a bold fashion statement, I know. All the cool kids are wearing it. Can I get a hug?
Interesting.
2018, the voice actors for Michael, Trevor and Franklin had a Q&A panel. A member of the subreddit r/Chiliad Mystery asked them about the infamous, still unsolved Mount Chiliad mystery.
It's still unsolved?
In response, Ned Luke said this.
You're gonna ask me about the Mount Chiliad mystery? Alright, we're gonna solve this.
this, okay?
I don't know what it is.
It's the mystery at the top of the mountain right now. Here's how you solve the Mount Chiliad mystery. You go down to Del Perro Pier. You swim out 35 miles. You dive down 78 feet, not 77, not 79. 78 feet. There you'll find the answer.
This was
interesting
a joke, but just to be sure, plenty of people, including myself, made the swim out to the ocean and checked.
Real.
And as to be expected, there was nothing there.
GG's, bro.
In 2014,
I love how much of a troll Ned Luke is, bro. Like, no one else could have voiced Michael better, voice-wise and then personality-wise, bro. Like, he just fits that vibe.
The Capture Weekend and the Business Weekend. Rockstar held a contest during both of these events which had players competing to make the best capture jobs and take the best Snapmatic photos. The winners would receive this exclusive Sunset license plate which could be placed on any one of their cars. There was only ever 5 winners per event, so there's only 10 players in the world that have this plate, putting it up there as potentially the rarest item in GTA Online.
Hard.
This is the only time that Rockstar has given out a unique license plate. It's likely that more events like this were planned, as there's still, to this day, 9 other plates just sitting in the game files.
Wow.
Whether or not these plates are going to be released in the future is really anyone's guess. There was a scrap story.
They're probably going to use that Vice City plate.
Michael intercepting a military convoy to steal a Hydra. Not much is really known about this mission, other than it was supposed to be the 4th mission you'd get from Solomon. From its brief description, it's clear that Michael would have had to plant some explosives along a road and detonate them as soon as the convoy passes over, then steal it. There's an animation of this road being blown up in the game files, which honestly looks pretty fleshed out.
It does.
This next one is a little bit weird. There's a scrapped GTA Online heist setup that is fully voiced, animated and more or less fully fleshed out. The mission is called Casanova, and the objective is for one player to enter a nightclub, find and seduce the Pacific Standard bank manager, and go back to his apartment to, talk. Whilst the bank manager is distracted, the 3 other players will be tasked with breaking into his apartment and stealing his keycard. This is one of those rare times that I'm actually glad the mission was scrapped.
Yeah.
Personally, the whole thing just feels icky and wrong.
Yeah, it's a little much, I think, for even GTA. You know, it's like the hot coffee mission, even though that wasn't real.
Yellow sticky
they made it real.
Contains a vault code. One of these possible combinations is 281197, which is the exact release date of the original Grand Theft Auto.
Wow.
For some reason, Chop, Franklin's dog, has his own phone number and profile picture. Unfortunately, however, it's impossible to call him. There's an feature in GTA Online called Dial a Sub. As the name suggests, it seems like you were originally going to be able to call up this number and request a submarine. It could have functioned similar to how the blimp contact works in story mode, but you would call a blimp spawn nearby. This feature is likely the very early concept of the Kosutka submarine, introduced with the Cayo Perico DLC. As well as the submarine phone contact, there's also this early HUD overlay of a submarine camera. This looks very different from what we have with the Kosutka.
Interesting.
The thermite bomb, as seen in a Pacific Standard bank heist, was originally...
Yo, speaking of Pacific Standard, I was trying, because I'm on a new account, right? And I was like, let me do the apartment heist, get it out the way, make some little money real quick, you know? But like not grind for hours. I'm literally on the finale of the Pacific Standard heist. Okay, I've tried multiple times, and I keep getting the same problem. I can grab the money very easily. Any other person that I'm playing with, whenever they try to grab the cash, they freeze. They can't move. They can't grab the cash, and we're stuck. It's so annoying, bruh.
To be a throwable weapon. There's third and first person animations for it, as well as its weapon wheel texture. How it would have actually functioned when thrown or how much damage it does isn't known. In Los Santos Customs, there's a very early rendition of the Sanctus bike in this magazine. Judging by how old this image looks, plus the incomplete nature of the background, it's likely that this was taken around 2011 or 2012, which is around 5 years after the vehicle would get officially released with the bike display. The bike itself has quite a few noticeable differences, such as the headlights coming out the forehead of the skull, rather than the eyes, and the handlebars being a completely different shape. That's crazy. Many examples of DLC vehicles existing multiple years before they were ever released. From these examples alone, we can make a good guess that a lot of, if not all, DLC vehicles we get were conceived and designed many years ago.
Yeah.
In this story mode,
makes sense.
The Polito score, Franklin has to use a dozer to save Michael and Trevor from the hordes of cops that are trying to kill them. But originally, Franklin was supposed to save them whilst using a tank instead. There are unused animations of Michael, Trevor and Franklin exiting the tank, as well as an early description of the mission itself, clearly stating that Franklin rescues you in a tank.
I think that would have been cooler, but a little bit too easy.
At GTA Plus during December 2022, you would have unlocked the Have You Seen Me shirt. This shirt clearly shows Santa getting his mugshot taken at the Los Santos Police Department. His mugshot board has the numbers 917-2013, which is the release date of GTA 5, September 9th, 2013. Another interesting thing about these numbers is that we can use them to figure out exactly what level Santa is, as these numbers on the mugshot board directly correlate to how much RP you have. A quick search reveals that at 9,172,013 RP, Santa would be the respectable level of 322. It's nice. Put Santa miles above El Rubio and Lamar. Considering how long Santa's been around for, I guess this kind of makes sense.
It does.
Vehicles will only be destroyed by water once their exhaust pipe has been submerged for over 3 seconds. This can lead to some weird scenarios where vehicles that have a higher up exhaust pipe will still be able to function even when the engine is completely submerged. The 3 vehicles this works best on is the Guardian, the Dump,
makes sense,
and the Dock Handler.
That's crazy.
Vehicles, such as supercars or sports cars, have better quality soundproofing than cheap cars. The sound of rain and wind will be reduced drastically when in a high quality vehicle.
Definitely noticed that.
Breaking a window will negate all soundproofing, regardless of car quality. Here's an example.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed this.
If you crazy. Want to connect a tow truck to another tow truck to another tow truck to another tow truck and so on, eventually the game will start to break and will swing the tow trucks in random directions. I think it's for this exact reason that it's impossible to get any kind of tow truck in GTA Online, without the use of mods of course.
Fair.
If you spam the punch button whilst entering your agency, your character will go into a combat stance. Every time I've tried this, my character always seems annoyed at something in the elevator, and I don't know why this is. Putting a decal on your knife will make it unable to get bloody.
Ooh,
a blue reflection
that's hard.
Water, regardless of the colour of the blimp. On each side of the cargo bob, it says that its max load capacity is 15,000 kilograms, which is 15 tons. Despite this, however, it is unable to effectively lift the Insurgent, that is in-game set to weigh 8 tons.
Wow.
Enough, it has zero trouble picking up the Rhino tank, which is set to weigh a whopping 60 tons. From what I could find with a quick Google search, even modern helicopters specially designed for heavy cargo can't even pull half this amount.
That's crazy, dude.
Story mode that can occur at any time whilst driving one of these vehicles. These older types of vehicles seem to be the only ones in the game that have a CB radio, which is able to pick up a wide range of radio signals. For this reason, when driving one of these cars, you can very rarely hear some random radio chatter. The types of things you can hear vary wildly, from people talking about conspiracies, people giving instructions on how to cook meth, to random military chatter. If you're playing as Trevor, he can sometimes respond to these people.
I was about to say, I've definitely heard the military chatter playing as Trevor.
After hours of waiting, I've personally never had this before. Have a listen.
No, you're doing it all wrong. You mix it with baking soda and water and then heat it with a lighter. Collect the stuff that rises to the top. It's good shit.
Thing about that truck is the alternator keeps giving out. Some goddamn oxygen sensor. Half the shit in the cars is made in Australia these days anyway, and they don't pay people for nothing. We need some kind of revolution, because it ain't gonna get no better. I have a gun, and I can take down a Predator drone.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. You assholes ever talk about anything interesting?
Yeah, I've definitely heard that.
The cherry picker variant of the utility truck was originally supposed to have a functioning lift that would go up and down with the press of a button. There's even this unused animation tied to it. I don't know why this was taken out. It would have gave this otherwise useless vehicle a bit of functionality. There are tons of spooky myths and legends surrounding the GTA franchise, some of which I've covered before, but this time let's dive into one mystery in particular that a few people still seem to believe. This mystery has even been labelled as possible on the GTA Myths wiki. This is the myth of Goatman, an entity that is half goat, half human. In-game sightings of this creature are said to take place near Catfish View, which is a pretty fitting location for a creature like this to reside for a couple of reasons. The Goatman of Pope Lick Creek, also known as the Pope Creek Monster, is said to reside under a railroad trestle in Louisville, Kentucky, and it just so happens that there's a railroad trestle very close to where the Goatman sightings are said to take place. Not only this, but there is also another bridge here that does somewhat resemble Old Alton Bridge, situated in Texas. The bridge also goes by another name, Goatman's Bridge. So that's two potential connections to Goatman in the exact same area that these Goatman sightings have taken place. Does that mean that this is real? Well, considering that there's been literally no screenshots of this creature, apart from this one which looks painfully fake.
It does.
The game has nearly been out for 10 years, and hundreds if not thousands of people have ripped the game files wide open.
Literally.
Specifically searching for things just like this. I'm sure something like the Goatman would have been found by now.
It would have been.
Maybe we've just missed it, and the fabled Goatman really is out there, hiding in the shadows. Most cars in GTA have the option for a livery to be applied to them, and some of these liveries are direct references to different parts of pop culture.
True.
They all have some small details on them that you probably wouldn't catch at first glance. I'm gonna go over a few of these that I personally find interesting. The first one we'll take a look at is the Rock and Roll Legends livery on a Comet S2. If you've played the game Cyberpunk 2077, you'll probably recognise that this livery is almost identical to Johnny Silverhand's Porsche 911 from that game. As a fan of the game myself, I appreciate this one being in here. Unfortunately, the only way to get this livery is to activate it using mods, as it's still yet to be released. Next, we have the Waifu Wheels livery on a Xeon Classic. Although there are many vehicles in game that have a Weeby Princess Robot Bubblegum livery available, 20 to be exact, but this one has an added feature of a Princess Robot Bubblegum body pillow in the back.
Wow.
It's all seatbelted in, and it has some...
I was about to say, is that a nut stain?
Next is the Delivery Boy livery on the Futo GTX. The name of this livery, as well as the livery itself, is a pretty clear reference to Takayumi Fujiwara's Toyota Sprinter Treno in the anime Initial D. In the show, the main character is an illegal street racer and part-time tofu delivery boy. As another nod to this, the Futo on the back of the car turns into tofu when its livery is applied. Lastly, we'll cover the many Fast and Furious liveries. Although there are many ways to replicate the many cars from this franchise, there's only 7 liveries that are direct references to it, which I'll lay out now. We have DK's Nissan 350Z, made with the King Scorpion livery on the Anis Euros. Brian O'Connor's Mitsubishi Evolution 7, made with the blue Power Stripe livery on a Sultan RS. Leon's Nissan Skyline R33 GTR, made with the Not Tonight Pizza Boy livery on the LG Retro Custom. Brian O'Connor's Mitsubishi Eclipse, made with the Almost Had You livery on a Penumbra FF. Slapjack's Toyota Supra Turbo, made with the Slapdash livery on a Jester Classic. Brian O'Connor's Nissan Skyline GTR R34, made with the Midnight Racer livery on the LG Retro Custom. And lastly is Brian O'Connor's Toyota Supra Turbo, made with the same car livery on the Jester Classic. The weakest part of any helicopter is a tail rotor. If you land a few well-placed shots, it'll spin uncontrollably, causing it to crash.
So far, that's the only one I knew, bruh.
2 score tracks in GTA that are remixes and or include leitmotifs of other pre-existing tracks. I showed a couple of these in a previous video, but since then, a few more have been discovered. These can be a bit difficult to hear, so listen closely.
Fair. That's crazy. The baseline changed the bounce so much too. Same here, this sounds like an old Kendrick Lamar type beat. Like Section 80 era. Oh wow.
In the Lowriders Custom Classics update released back in 2016, there was an action that was added that still remains unused to this day. The action is called the V-sign, and much like other actions, it has 4 variations. We have the basic one, which you can see here. The full body variations, which is different depending if you're a male or a female.
Interesting.
Or sitting inside of a vehicle. The action itself shows the 2-finger salute, or the forks as it's known in Australia. It's recognised as a gesture of offence in places like the UK, Ireland, of course Australia, and I believe some parts of Europe. It basically means the same thing as the middle finger. As this gesture isn't particularly well known in America, it doesn't really make sense for characters to make it, which could be the reason as to why it got scrapped.
Real.
The first cutscene for the mission Mr. Phillips, which takes place shortly after the Vangelico heist, was originally going to be quite a bit different. Rather than Michael and Franklin getting interrupted by Dave whilst they were having a drink, Lester was going to be present, and they were all supposed to be thoroughly drunk by the time Dave comes in. The interaction between these characters would have been priceless. It's a shame we didn't actually get to see this cutscene, but luckily the audio for it has existed for quite some time now, so I'll play it now.
Oh, fucking did! Fucking A, Bubba! Yeah! You're a genius, we all are! Fuck you, Uncle Sam, and your bullshit rules! No, hey! You go easy on Uncle Sam. I love that guy. He exists. That's what I love about him. Franklin! Yeah. Break up!
Thanks, Mike.
In your face, Squares! Fuck all of you!
That's fucked up, man.
Hey, this is how we roll. We do a gig,
Yeah.
and then we get shit fucking drunk.
What the fuck is going on? To think.
Amanda!
And look who I found skulking around outside, our very own marriage guidance counselor and government agent.
Join us for a swift libation.
Oh, Jesus, that asshole? You are dead, you fat fuck! Dead!
Love you! Let me be very clear. In case someone cuts your brake cables, it wasn't me!
Yo.
Hello, Michael.
Davey!
I was wondering why you and your friends were getting drunk and high shortly after a store was done over. Can you explain that to me?
Yes. They are two completely unrelated items.
Everything about the job. The whole thing. Anyone who knows anything about your file, it's so fucking obvious. What is wrong with you?
I have less than no clue what you're talking about.
Bong hit.
Yo.
What about Trevor? That fruitcake thinks you're alive. You are D-O-N-E fucked.
Trevor is D-O-N-E dead. Gotta be. I mean, besides, I didn't have anything to do with whatever it is you're saying I had something to do with. Wasn't me.
Oh, now look. Isn't that convenient? Local breaking news.
This sounds like a great cutscene,
A
man.
radio signal tower can emit two separate Morse code signals. One of these signals is triggered directly by a loud sound around a time of 3 AM. Shooting a weapon or detonating an explosive near the tower will activate it. Here's what it sounds like. The message will repeat a few times until eventually coming to a stop. The next Morse code message doesn't seem to have a set time. It will play any time between 3 AM and 5 AM. This message will last a lot longer than the last one. From start to finish, it's a hefty 2 minutes long. Here's what it reads. Ban cloves, ban lies, ban youth, ban deceit. Eat of the flesh, drink of the blood. We shall be free once more, because we know altruism, the greatest good for the greatest generation. We shall boom again. This weird phrase is the mantra used by the altruists, a cult of middle-aged men living in a small camp on the side of Mount Chiliad. They can be heard chanting this very phrase during the altruist shootout event triggered by Trevor. It can also be seen written in Morse code at the bottom of their website. Despite the group's ideology being against modern technology, they do seem to meddle with signal towers and use the internet quite a bit. The dinghy that can be summoned from your Kosatka has quite a unique and powerful ability. If it gets destroyed, the wreckage of it will never despawn, no matter how far away you get from it. This means that you can continuously spawn these boats in and blow them up, making piles of wrecked boats with 100 strong if you're patient enough. Though this may seem kind of pointless, it does have its uses. If there's a certain free mode mission that you don't want to play, like a difficult DAX mission or a really drawn out heist prep, you can place these wrecked boats within the area that the mission will spawn, and it should block the mission from triggering. This is especially helpful for speedrunners, as they can use these boats to guarantee they always get the most optimal missions. You will need to be careful when doing this though. If enough of these boats are spawned in, roughly 120 plus, the session you're in will start to slowly break. Anyone who encounters these boats will start to experience some strange effects, such as being unable to summon any of their vehicles, seeing zero traffic on the road, being invisible to other players, and being soft-locked when entering a property. If enough of these boats were to be piled up in a high-activity area, you could effectively brick an entire lobby. The amount of time this will take, however, is immense. This pile of boats here took a good 5 hours to put together.
Wow.
If you take your barge to the Arena Workshop, you have the option to equip it with Clifford's logo, used by Clifford's mercenaries during the Doomsday heist. It's not exactly known if this modification was intentionally implemented or not, as its name, Custom Mod 1, seems a little bit unfinished.
Yeah.
There are quite a few areas for the level of details, or LODs, in this area specifically, like this sign not loading in properly unless you get very close, the lampposts popping in and out of existence, and this crash mode that has no collision when you're close to it, but somehow gains collision when you're far away. As far as I know, this only happens in an online session, so Rockstar somehow messed something up in this area when implementing one of their recent updates.
That's weird.
Simple enough, it's entirely possible to defy the laws of physics by flying planes backwards. This impressive skill does not come easy though, as it takes hours of practice to pull it off consistently, and even longer to master how to control it in mid-air. Attempting to do this myself has really given me a newfound respect on how impressive stunts like this really are.
Yeah.
I would like to break down exactly how this works and how to do it, but I'm really not qualified for giving tips about flying. So if you want an in-depth guide on how to do this, I'll leave a link down
Classic right here
that I followed. Anthony McBain, a previous artist for Rockstar North, has recently released some old concept art for Franklin and Trevor. There's a few outfits here that have made it into the game, and there's others which we've never seen before. The mask that Trevor's wearing in this image here isn't available in game, but it has a striking resemblance to this mask that our GTA Online characters can wear. During the Halloween event of 2023, there was a short period when you could get abducted by one of the many UFOs around the map. Once abducted, you had a 25% chance to see a cutscene of yourself laying on an operating table in a strange facility. Although it isn't available without the use of mods, this facility has a lot more to it than what we can see during the cutscene, with it being made up of 4 separate rooms and 1 connecting hallway.
Wow.
One of them contains blueprints for a jetpack, specifically the one used by CJ in GTA San Andreas. There's also this decommissioned Oppressor Mark II. In the adjacent room, we can find an alien egg being propped up, and a couple of laser weapons which are identical to the ones that the player can use.
Wow.
Almost identical. They have this strange glowing DNA symbol etched onto all of them. Just like 98% of the stuff here, I have no clue what this means.
Interesting.
This room is a strange storage room. This room is absolutely packed with mysterious crates and boxes. Some of these have the Clifford logo plastered onto them, and others have the eye symbol for the Mount Chiliad mural itself. At the end of the hallway there's a room that seems to be used for medical purposes. The room is attached to this massive silo structure. This suggests that there are many more rooms just like this one, and it gives the vibe that this place is a lot larger than one meets the eye. Low key. There are TV screens that have some strange code. Thankfully, people smarter than me have decoded it. This reads "connect the dots," and this one says "we are watching." If you got abducted during this Halloween event, you would have unlocked this unnamed shirt that has some strange symbols. If you look closely, you should see some numbers. This is once again some more code. The numbers can be decoded as "one day will reveal all," with this whole facility having so much detail.
I saw TGG talking about that.
I think it's very likely that we'll be visiting here in a future update. We would probably need to do something like flick these switches or steal something from the storage room, something like that.
Real.
At these 2 locations you can find 2 strange black spiderwebs. Oddly enough, they only spawn in between the times of 1 and 2 AM. In the game files, these objects are both called electric spider, meaning that this isn't just a normal cobweb. Due to these things looking very out of place and the strange time requirements for them to spawn in, people have speculated that this is somehow connected to the Mount Chiliad mystery. Whether these things are supposed to be purely decorative or if they have a hidden, deeper meaning is still up for debate. Another odd occurrence that happens roughly in the same area as these spiderwebs are these strange patterns appearing on these 2 Ron signs in Pleto Bay. They only appear at night and they seem to have quite a mysterious look to them. Much like the spiderwebs, no one is really sure why these patterns are here or what they could mean. The timeline of GTA Online is quite confusing to say the least. The nature of it is still discussed in the community to this day, and not one single model of the timeline is 100% agreed upon. However, looking at all of the evidence, we can paint a pretty clear picture as to when the events of GTA Online take place. It was said by Rockstar that the events of GTA Online will take place a couple of months before the events of GTA 5. For a while, this seemed to make sense.
It did.
Copious amounts of evidence that
I feel like it made so much sense until they started adding all those futuristic vehicles, bro.
This. Like low-key events in story mode not being present in online, such as the destruction of buildings, the sinking of a ship and the wreckage of a plane. We also have some dialogue in story mode that mentions some GTA Online events, placing it in the past, such as Lester mentioning our online protagonists in this cutscene here.
Alright, well we're gonna need a crew. You got any contacts in LS or not?
I've been working with someone, but they're too unpredictable. I'll have to reach out to some other guys.
And Lamar potentially referencing the contact mission going down the GOH.
I know these streets. You know these streets. Man, all you know is dime bag hustling, credit card stealing, boosting gas tankers on me. Come on, man. You trying to be some fucking commodity trader or something? Fool, that shit went up, man.
Wow. Export update. You can sell a collection of luxury cars to Molly Schultz and Jay Norris, 2 characters who were quite brutally killed off during the events of story mode.
True.
This evidence places GTA Online before story mode. Everything made sense until the gun running update came out in 2017. There's one little line of dialogue in this update that completely changed the timeline of GTA Online forever.
One of our agents has been turned by a rival state. Yeah, it's 2017. I can't believe it either.
So, according to this, we dropped from early summer 2023 all the way to 2017, over 4 years after the events of GTA 5 in just a single update. This is the controversial part that kind of does and doesn't make sense at the same time. It's kind of implied that the GTA Online character arrived in San Andreas with absolutely nothing but a clothes on their back. They then proceeded to complete a load of contact missions. They bought a luxury apartment, did 5 major heists, founded a complex criminal business involving the scalping of illegal goods, the exportation of luxury cars, the active production of cocaine, weed, meth, counterfeit cash and illegal documents. And for the hell of it, we'll say that they bought a $10 million super yacht as well, climbing the criminal ladder all the way to the top within a span of a month. They then did nothing for 4 years until the event of gun running took place. And this added an awkward fact that it somehow snowed during summer 2023, not once but 4 times. It really doesn't seem all that likely.
Crazy.
This timeline is the best we have. We haven't really found any solid evidence that discredits these events as they currently are. Beyond the gun running update, the updates seem to match up with current time.
Yeah.
Being referred to as a lifestyle coach in Vinewood.
You butt into the place. You're late. What kept you? Yeah, well, it's too late. That bastard Trent. My best friend? Oh, he's supposed to protect me forever? Then he goes all Vinewood on me. He's too important for Ron now, but he's a guru. He's a lifestyle coach. I don't know what he is. I bet he's got abs.
A couple of updates after, Jay Norris's death is confirmed by Paige.
Security's been upgraded since the Jay Norris incident, so that's probably the only way to get past the cameras.
I remember that.
A couple dozen more updates and NFTs are getting referenced, only half a year after the massive surge in popularity.
You can't take it. It's a non-fungible token, asshole. Do you even know what that means? It's on the blockchain. It's not a physical object. You can't take shit. Blockchain, bitches. Blockchain. I own it. Forever! Look, you can shoot me, but you can't take an NFT. How stupid are you?
Crazy. I think I killed him too fast.
Partly due to mistakes in continuity, and partly because, well, it just doesn't make sense. But until Rockstar cleans up the timeline for us, this is what we're stuck with. Well, that's the end of the video.
Hey, I only knew one of them.
GTA 5.
That's crazy.
And final time now. I know I said in the last video there's going to be the last one, but with there being so much new information about GTA 5 coming to light, specifically due to some leaks, I just had to make another one. Also, apologies for the long wait for this one. It's been nearly half a year since I last uploaded, which is terrible even for my own standards. I was going through some family issues during that time, so I wasn't able to work nearly as much as I would have liked. Despite that, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you later.
W-Mans, bruh, W video. You love to see it, bruh. I still can't believe I only knew one of those things, bro. That's crazy, man.